Well, good morning. Welcome again. It's wonderful to be back with you as we continue our journey through Job, on our journey through chronologically through the whole Bible. You know, when we ended yesterday, we were at the beginning of a very long speech by Job. Actually, I think it started all the way back in chapter 26, where Job expresses disappointment with his friends because they're really of no comfort at all. Job spoke about God's majesty. Job insisted he was telling the truth. Job acknowledged that the evil do fall, but he maintains that his present condition was not a result of some dark and hidden sin, and that it's not necessarily true that for sure those who are evil will suffer in this particular life. He noted the ability of people to discover many, many things. If I remember correctly, he was using the examples of mining and refining metals and so on, how people can discover so many things. But he asserts that true wisdom was not one of the things that people are able to find on their own because it comes only from God. He noted also that the true wisdom can't be bought. It's something that, as I say, comes only from God. So today in chapter 29, Job is going to recall his former days, his days of honor and prosperity. He's going to be looking back on those days, and he speaks of how he used those gifts that he had to help others. He actually thought that, he mentions how he thought that he would die that way one day, that he would have died having lived a long and a prosperous life without significant misfortune or tragedy. He looked obviously back on those days almost whimsically, remembering how fine, how wonderful, how blessed they were. He recalled how men used to look forward to talking with him, how they craved his attention. But then he also says that, you know what, that's all in the past. In chapter 30, Job expresses how now he is shunned. He's an outcast even among the outcasts. I guess to add insult to injury. He's unaware that God is allowing his faith to be tested. He's unaware of what God is allowing Satan to do in order to test his faith. So Job ends up assuming that God is afflicting him, even attacking him for no apparent reason. In words that reflect the great hope in a living Redeemer that he had expressed just a little bit earlier, Job now says, I know you will bring me down to death. Job expects to die soon. Ultimately, he's accusing God of being arbitrary. In other words, he's accusing God of being unjust. In this way, Job sins because God is just. God is perfect. From there, Job goes on to express the feeling that since he's crying out for help, he should receive relief. After all, he helped others in their time of need. Why isn't he getting help in his time of need? While Job's feeling isn't really strictly correct, his situation does remind us of another. In his commentary on Job, Pastor Hansi notes that Jesus gave nothing but good, and he received in his passion nothing but evil. Even often during his ministry, he received evil. It's good for us to remember both Job and Jesus as we suffer unjustly or however it may be, and at those times when we actually receive an evil response to a good measure, or to a measure of good. We move on then to Job 31. In Job chapter 31, Job begins to specifically deny, he denies specific types of sins that his friends have been accusing of. Job shows actually a very comprehensive understanding of sin in these passages. Maybe I would say an expanded understanding of sin in these passages. For example, when he speaks about lust, he says, he notes that lust starts with the eyes. And that mirrors very closely what Jesus had to say about adultery. Job says that he has made a covenant with his eyes not to look lustfully at a girl. He denies falsehood. He denies deceit. He denies adultery. And again, he expands that to the desires of his heart as well, not just the act. He denies mistreating his servants And he expands on that. He notes that they are people, just like he is. He says, did not he who made me, or did not he who made me in the womb make them? Did not the same one form us both within our mothers? You see, Job is acknowledging the sameness of people, whatever their particular status in life may be. Job denies neglecting the weak. He denies neglecting the poor. Actually, he insists that instead he was using his blessings to help them. Job denies trusting his gold or his wealth. He denies any form of idolatry. He even denies gloating over the misfortune of his enemies or hiding his own sin. It might be easy to imagine that Job is, well, being arrogant as he goes through this laundry list of denials, but that's not really the case. Job admits his sins, just not the sins that his friends are accusing him of, because they're not there. They didn't happen. Indeed, Job says that his sins are not concealed, but they're out in the open. So in declaring and attesting to his innocence, Job now concludes his words. He's going to speak again briefly, I think maybe 2 more times in response to God. But those words are brief, and they'll be of a completely different type. Job's words, now with his friends and so on, have come to an end. When we return next time to read some more, we will begin with the speeches of Elihu, or Elihu. Say that one quick 10 times, my apologies. He's a young man that we've not heard from so far, but we will hear actually a couple of speeches that he makes next before we hear from God himself. May God be with you, bless you. Look forward to gathering again the next time.